My honor and pleasure to welcome back from a wonderful time away is our Reverend Joanne Boruck, and she's going to speak on Ripple, the art of mindfulness. Reverend Joanne.
Thank you, Reverend Truss. Good morning, everybody. What I really mean to say is, good morning, beautiful. And I see the beauty in you, too. I think Ernest Holmes had it right when he said, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Welcome, Linda. Good to see you. Please join me in an opening affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. Go within to that secret place of the Most High in your heart, as I say with great gratitude that I know there is only one mind, one love, one being, one creator, one, God. And I am one with it. All that is in creation is also in me. So I embrace my creativity today by expressing myself as love, as integrity, and mindful kindness. I declare and know that this morning, as we stepped out of bed, we were surrounded by truth, the truth that we are loved and that we are loved. This beautiful Sunday is all I have to offer you. I offer it in love. Let us be love this beautiful Sunday. I declare for myself and for every person here who claims it as their truth, that they choose to walk through this day with an open heart and an open mind, expressing love. And now I know how grateful I am. I'm so grateful for this truth, for this teaching, for Ernest Holmes and his courage to bring this to fruition. I'm so grateful for this safe space where we can speak our minds freely without judgment. I'm grateful for all the people here, for the ministers, for Ernest Holmes, for my family, for my health. And I let this go into the all-knowing one mind, where it is already done, returned to me, multiplied and overflowing. And I let it go. And together we say, and so it is. In this quiet moment, I invite you to bring into your heart center all those who couldn't be here today, whether they are gone in body, mind, or spirit. Let's just send them all the love that we are, so that they know how much they are still and are truly loved, and how they remain in our hearts, and how mindful their impact was on our lives. Thank you. It's so great to be back. I had a beautiful holiday with my daughter and her husband and 5 kids and the other grandma and many, many margaritas. It was so great. It was a time of sharing and a time of caring and a time of healing and a time of revealing. So I have never been really on a holiday with any of my grown kids before. What a great experience. It was so much more fun than when they were little. Because now I just got to be a grandma, and Sarah did all the work. She arranged everything. And really, when I read this weekly theme, the weekly theme is Ripple, The Art of Mindfulness. I didn't really like it. I usually don't. But when I was in Mexico and I was sitting on the beach and the waves were rolling in, and even as they rolled in, I watched as they went back, they rippled in the water, and you couldn't be anything but mindful. It was so warm and it was so beautiful. I'm sorry to tell you. But it was mindful. I was mindful. And so I thought, okay, that must be telling me that that talk is good for me. I was looking out at the Caribbean Sea, thinking about all of you and thinking about how you ripple in my life, how you've changed my life. The art of mindfulness. But also February is a really important month. And sometimes I do a self-vow renewal at Valentine's Day, but I've missed Valentine's Day. So I love February because we celebrate love in all its many forms. And I got some chocolates today, and guess what I got for Valentine's Day? Olives. That was a great gift. Thank you, Wendy. All of me. It was really good. But also, tomorrow's Lazu's birthday, and I really resonate with the Tao, and I think we all do. It's very similar to our teaching. And there was a big celebration online I saw for Lazu's birthday, and what they do is they have all these lanterns that they light, and it's a lantern to promote reconciliation, peace, and forgiveness. Wow, that's so great. And Lazu said, I just have 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, and compassion. And he said, these 3 are the greatest treasures: simple in action and thoughts, you return to the source of your being; patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are; and compassion towards yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. You know, we often talk about how so many faiths have developed into this Ernest Holmes teaching. Really, I think this is the best of the best of the best. Ernest Holmes said something very similar. He said, to be well, happy, is to express freedom, and it's to be in accord with the divine law of wisdom. And he goes on to say, the present moment can never provide us with more joy than we're able to embody. The other place I like to look when I'm researching what I want to talk about is I like to look in the Bible and see what they say and how can I make that relevant in today's world. So this is from Timothy, chapter 2, verse 1-4. It says, I urge then, first of all, that petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. Wow. We could sure learn just from that one scripture. But you know what? Something else is really important about February. Tomorrow is Random Acts of Kindness. So as I circle back to Ripple, I challenge you to go do a random act of kindness for somebody. I always thought it would be so great to stand on a corner and give out free hugs on Random Act of Kindness Day. And there are centers who have done that. I'm a little shy, but, maybe if the weather was warmer, we should put that in our calendar for another year. That would be so great. The Dalai Lama talks about random acts of kindness, and he says that's something that you decide first thing in the morning. He says, as soon as I wake up every morning, I thank God for another day. I remember the importance of kindness and compassion, wishing good for others. I remember that everything is related, setting my intention for the day, that this day is meaningful. I thought that was a really good one. Maybe that's all we need to do. Get up every morning and make it the intention that this day is meaningful. And I found another quote in Colossians chapter 3 that says, set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. You probably didn't even know those spiritual things were in there. Every time I read it, I think, whoa, they didn't teach me that in my organized religion. So I want to talk about the ripple effect. I talked about how you guys changed my life. But do you know that the ripple effect expands out in 3 degrees of separation? So if there was a big experiment done with large numbers of people, and it showed that if one person did something kind and compassionate, in a very short period of time, their friend did something kind and compassionate, and their friend's friend did something kind and compassionate. So I know we talk about how if you're a witness to that, it creates some endorphin that makes you happy. But that's the first time I've ever read that it had the ripple effect is that it affects 3 degrees of separation. That is another reason to ripple out kindness. But not just kindness. How about forgiveness and mercy? Just hearing, I'm sorry. I got to tell you something about that word. You know, did you ever watch Love Story with Ryan O'Neal and they said love means never having to say you're sorry? I tell you, for 40 years I wondered, what does that mean? And now I know. It means that don't do anything you have to be sorry about. But if you do, own up to it. Say you're sorry. And if somebody says they're sorry to you, forgive them, because that's an act of mercy. I read in the School of Alchemy that pardon is God's perfume. Isn't that great? Pardon is God's perfume. It's a great thing to think about. Ripples and mindfulness. I had to put those together, and so I decided that you have to be mindful of what you're rippling out. Otherwise, you're rippling out anger, fear, resentment. So you have to be mindful to see what you're rippling out. That's what you create. I want to tell you a story about being mindful. And, you know, for me, being mindful doesn't mean just being in the moment. It means being in control of your own mind. So, you know, it's this time of year and it's really cold and I got home and I was pretty depressed. I was tired of winter and I was feeling pretty crappy. But guess, I changed my mind. I became mindful and took comfort that every day there's a few more minutes of daylight. And that one day I'm going to look out the window and I'm going to see green grass. And I'm going to see the snow melting. And I'm going to see the temperature soaring. And I'm going to see the earth. And I'm going to see the earth with a loving light that I've never felt before after this February. I'm going to hear people outside talking and children playing. And then in my mind, I did something different. I closed my eyes. I took off my socks. And I stepped into my living room as I was stepping on a beautiful field of green grass, still wet with the dew. And I just stood there for a moment, and I could remember how it felt to walk on the green earth. I can remember how the cool, damp grass felt. It felt so alive under my feet. And I remembered something I read. It says, if you're kissing the earth with your feet, every step you take is sacred. So with love in my heart, I thank God for the ability to change my mind, for the ability to see the earth, for the ability to walk on the earth. You know, in our mindfulness, each of us get to figure out how we're going to walk through life. Are you going to walk through life in the snow, on the concrete, or on the green earth? I think of that often since I did that in my living room. I'm going to kiss the earth with my feet. And I found another quote. This one's from Hafiz. I don't know if you read him, but he's a pretty wise man. He says, before the work starts, as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, habits are human nature. Why not create some that are gold? So again, that's 3 times we're told everything starts the minute you get out of bed in the morning. I'm really grateful you're here, and it's so cold out. I feel really blessed that you all started your cars and got here. But tomorrow morning when you wake up, I want you to remember that. Make today a meaningful day. I'm stepping on God's green earth. I talked about mindfulness not being literally being in the moment all the time. We take it so literally. Sometimes I think it's about, being in the moment, but it's also about the ability to change your mind into joy in times of sadness, to remember warmth in times of the cold chill, to remember peace in times of chaos. I think the art of mindfulness is the greatest gift. And if you only take two things from this philosophy, it's how you think ripples out into the world, so be mindful of it. And you are the master of your own thinking. You know, mindfulness always sounded like a buzzword to me, like inner child too. That one scared me for a long time till Carmen did an inner child. I was sure that it was going to be some hellion, but it wasn't. It was just a scared little girl. And so, you know what, I think of mindfulness might sound scary. It did to me too. Like, how am I going to stop? I got a million things to do. But that's all incorporated into mindfulness. Mindfulness has 3 A's, I think: awareness, attention, and attitude. So wherever you are, whether you're washing dishes, you're having coffee, you're giving a hug, be aware of where you are. Cultivate awareness. Be present. Pay attention to how it feels when somebody hugs you. Do you just hug and move on to the next person? Guilty. I want to stop and see how it feels. How does it feel to be hugged? Pay attention to how it feels when you're mindful. And attitude. Be courteous, unjudgmental. Somebody might hug you too hard or too high or too low. Or somebody might get you coffee that's too cold or too sweet or too much milk. But be kind and courteous. I can't even get cherry blossoms anymore. Be aware, pay attention, and have a good attitude. That's all it takes. The triple A's, not AA, AAA, to be mindful. Those will bring peace and calm into your life. And now, I'd like to invite you to join me in a short meditation on mindfulness. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you choose, you can close your eyes and simply listen to my voice. 5. Take 5 deep breaths. Allow your stomach to completely feel, matching the length of your inhalation with your exhalation. The key is to intentionally slow your breath. Four, in your mind, remember what you've seen today so far and bring to mind 4 things that you saw. You can choose to focus on a particular color or a theme or things smaller than a bread box. As you continue breathing at your own right and perfect pace, think of 4 things that you've seen today. 3, pay attention to your body and think of 3 things that you feel and say them to yourself. Like, I feel my feet warm in my socks. I feel the hair on my head. I feel the chair I'm sitting on. I feel hungry. 3 things you feel. 2, listen for 2 sounds that you hear right now. It could be traffic, the fan, your stomach. might not feel relevant, but doing it in this moment brings you into mindfulness. 2 things you hear. And 1, repeat to yourself a positive affirmation or chant that rings true for you, such as everything's unfolding as it should. I am open to receive new experiences. Love lives as me. 1 affirmation. And when you're done, take a deep breath. Keep your eyes closed and see if you feel any different. 5 breaths. 4 things you see. 3 things you feel. 2 things you hear. And 1 thing you know. Thank you. Well, I feel like that was a lot of information today for Ripples, the art of meditation. But it's my intention that you heard something today that brings you into your own heart and brings this year all that your heart imagines. This yearly theme is called Rising Higher and Growing Deeper. Ursula's going to sing us a song one day about that, growing deeper. I believe the deeper you go, the higher you go. So let's grow deep and rise high. I want to close with a native proverb that says, listen to the wind, it talks. Listen to the silence, it speaks. Listen to the heart, it knows. I am Reverend Joanne Faith, peace and love, Boruck. And I wish you an amazing, amazing week. Thank you.